Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Combat Mission Shock Force 2. Combat Mission is a series of combined arms war games. They are military simulations, and I believe that this simulation in particular is just about the best that I have ever seen in depicting the complexities of combined arms maneuver, how fraught these sort of operations are with risk, and, you know, like I said, the complexity of it, how much goes in to making a combined arms force really hum and accomplish complex missions. In today's operation, we are a Stryker company minus, acting as that company commander. Allocated to us, we have 2 platoons of Stryker infantry combat vehicles. One of those platoons has Mark 19s. The other platoons are in standard Strykers with 240s equipped to them. We also have a headquarters section. In that headquarters section, we have a couple of guns. We have a sniper. We've been allocated priority of fires by the company 81mm mortar tubes. Really, it would be a section of the battalion tubes, and we can use those at our discretion. Our task today is to clear this village of hostile forces. It has been occupied by a non-uniformed paramilitary style unconventional force that's armed with light weapons, anti-tank munitions, and has a pretty, robust will to fight. So we do expect that they are going to fight to hold it. Within the village in particular, we're tasked with reducing the enemy's combat power by 50%, maybe 60%. We also have to capture objectives silver, gold, copper, bronze, and steel. And our ROE is relatively restrictive. Specifically, we have to have positive identification. We have to obey the laws of armed conflict. We have to take into consideration proportionality with the way that we engage. That being said, if we positively identify an enemy threat, we can destroy it. The forces in this village are considered a declared hostile force, but there's also a protected site. Obviously, we're not putting fires on a mosque unless it becomes a legitimate military target. So I'm excited to dive back into this game. I don't claim to be good at this game. I know a thing or two about combined arms maneuver, but I don't expect that my knowledge of the controls will necessarily lend us a whole lot of success. But let's start out with taking a look at this village and thinking about how the enemy may defend it. This is, kind of the first step as we consider the troop leading procedures. We've received the mission, we've issued the war note to our forces. We're really starting to make a tentative plan here and conduct some initial reconnaissance. We know that we have to clear this village. We have 2 Stryker platoons to do it. One of those Stryker platoons is equipped with Mark 19s. Those Mark 19s likely to become our support by fire element. And then we kind of take a look at this objective. So if we think here that, there's a platoon-ish size element, platoon size enemy force, maybe a greater number than that occupying this, how would they go about defending it, knowing that we're going to be bringing a mechanized force, a light wheeled force, into this area? And if I look at this right away, of course, I see a choke point right up front. It looks like there may already be some obstacles that have been in place. If I'm the enemy, I'm trying to bait vehicles through this corridor so that I can engage them, potentially with smoke mines, disruption fires, and do whatever I can to cause an attacking force to become attrited early in the fight, lose momentum. And then after you start imposing cost on an assaulting force, in this case, take out a vehicle, take out, a couple of individuals, impose some casualties. At that point, it causes the attacking force to lose momentum, lose, those principles of the offense: surprise, concentration, audacity, and tempo, and gives the defender an opportunity to mass against them. This force is not going to be able to go toe-to-toe with a U.S. Army Stryker company, but they can certainly impose cost, and they can cause that company to culminate early, meaning that that company will exhaust its combat power, lose sufficient numbers of vehicles and personnel that it can no longer continue the fight. So I expect them to do that by trying to bait us into this choke point, probably having fires integrated with it if they have some sort of mortar capability. Certainly, if there's mines, if there's an RPG gunner, an RPG team, in one of these buildings looking long down that gap, that's something that I expect them to do. So they're anticipating that that is our most likely avenue of approach. As far as the city itself, I expect that they would have prepared it with defensive fighting positions. They're going to be fighting from cover. They're going to be fighting from inside of buildings, deep within those structures. And in those structures, they're probably going to have sandbags. They're going to have barricades. They're going to have sniper positions. They're going to have sniper screen and hide sites, and they're going to have some sort of light disruption element on the periphery of the city that is going to make contact, try to knock out a vehicle or two. If they gain the upper hand, they'll reinforce those positions to try to attrit us on approach. If they're unable to gain the upper hand, they're going to have a series of defensive layers that act as basically belts. So if they're unable to hold the first block, they're going to continue to collapse back towards the mosque. How do we then face him? How do we make sure that we capture objectives steel, bronze, copper, gold, and silver? Taking a look at this, kind of my initial plan is to task organize for assault and support. My assault element is going to be these Strykers over here that have a medium machine gun equipped with them. And then my support element is going to be these guys over here with Mark 19s. I'm going to lead out with all elements at the same time. My assault element is going to hold short of the intervisibility line created by this berm. I'm going to get the Strykers basically as close as I can without completely exposing themselves so they don't get knocked out by an anti-tank system or an RPG. Once they're in position behind that IV line and simultaneously really with that, I'd like to push forward these Strykers over here, get them up just prior to exposing, and then hopefully get those Mark 19s on a common remote weapon system up and over so that they can use their optics to look out long and start using those Mark 19s to engage enemy as they appear, begin to soften the objective with suppressing fires from those automatic grenade launchers. The commander in the headquarters section, I'm going to position between my assault and my support elements, very likely somewhere up on this node. Of note, that commander has his forward observer with him, and he's going to be actually controlling the fires. So as we suppress with those Mark 19s, we're going to get the commander up here, try to spot some enemy positions, and then begin calling for 81mm mortars as required. As far as these structures go, we don't want to do CQB in urban terrain as best as we can, especially in combat mission. This game is very punishing in a CQB environment. You can't just rely necessarily on the training of your dudes to go in there and clean house. So if you roll into a building that has not been prepped, you will die. So with that in mind, we're going to try to force the enemy to forfeit buildings by putting a ton of fire on them until that building is either gone or the enemy forfeits the position, collapses back to a subsequent fighting position, allowing us to then occupy the objective area. So that's generally what it looks like. Support by fire here, assault right here. Once we get a foothold on objective steel, we'll essentially flip the roles, and the assault becomes the support element. They'll support by fire from steel as we throw a right hook over here to seize silver. And at that point, we'll have the enemy in an L. We'll be able to soften them up pretty good and then split squads across the street, take copper and bronze. So that's the perfect plan. Now we're going to attempt to poorly execute it. We've got the force set generally as we want them. Let's see if I can remember these controls and make this magic happen. All right, so right out the gate, we've got a spot over here, a utility truck of some sort that looks like it's already been knocked out, so they've already had some level of contact. I don't have anything else over here. I'm curious if I have any sort of like ISR, so I'm going to go over here to the commander. Typically, you'd expect a commander to have like a Puma or a Raven or a quadcopter, some sort of ISR platform available to him. I don't know if that is the case today. So we do have those fires available, but we don't seem to have any sort of ISR available. Let's take these Strykers and get them moving on the quick right up to this position. All right, we've got those initial paths traced out. This is a pretty dangerous move just because we're moving abreast up to an intervisibility line. We don't know exactly what's on the other side of it. I'd say real world, you'd probably do a defile drill before you cross that intervisibility line, meaning you'd get the infantry out of the back of these trucks, because the number one rule of mounted infantry combat is don't let the boys die in the trucks. Give them a chance to get out and fight, but we will see how that pays off for us this time around. So we do have infantry spotted in kind of those outer edges, kind of as we anticipated. Looks like we've had a few impacts in this building. I don't see the enemy infantry inside, but it's safe to say that it is occupied at this point. The same can be said over here. We're going to let these guys do some work. I think I'm also going to get the infantry out at this point. So these guys, let's take this infantry squad and have them... I'm going to have them just dismount right behind the trucks. All right, we're going to leave one 240 crew in the truck. We're going to dismount the other one, have them set over here, and start suppressing. We've got plenty of guns online. I'm going to leave the commander where he's at right now, just confirming he still doesn't have any ISR available to him. No, he doesn't. It's just the 81mm mortars. The rest of these guys are going to kind of stay into position. I'm going to allow them to engage targets as they appear. Over here, these infantry are going to dismount and just hold, get ready to assault across the berm whenever the time comes. We'll allow the situation to continue to develop. I think just about everyone, his crow system can't see anything. This dude can, this dude can, and this dude can. So we're not in a terrible spot here, and if they need to take evasive action, they'll have enough room to do it. Over here, I'm going to have this Mark 19. He can't quite see it. There we go. This Mark 19 can see this truck. So we'll have him engage it. It's 270 meters. That's a chip shot with Mark 19 that can go about 3,000 meters when fired correctly. This guy, will have him in a target arc like so. This guy will have in a target arc like so. We'll keep him in a free fire and him in a free fire. All right, not a bad situation. Let's see how this plays out for us. We're starting now to develop the situation, get our guys into an assault formation before actually committing across the berm. So we had good effects on that technical over here. We'll have to put that guy in a ceasefire. Looks like we've got another technical here that's already been knocked out. Doors open. All the enemy infantry is still barricaded in these buildings. We did have good effects over here on this building. The sidewall's now blown out, which is helpful. We've killed at least one enemy infantry up here on this roof. There's certainly more in cover. The way that the fog of war in this simulation works is if I can't see the infantry, if none of my guys can see them, they're not going to appear on the map. They'll be invisible to me. If you see something like this, that means at least one of my units spotted something moving, an enemy unit moving in this building, but they don't necessarily have eyes on it right now. So it's safe to assume that this is occupied by, a squad or more of enemy forces. And over here, we had this vehicle obviously that's now destroyed, but I would expect that it was probably accompanied by some infantry. All right, so this guy, I'm going to go ahead and put him in a ceasefire, or at least clear his target. I'm going to clear all these targets so that they're no longer constrained to just their target arcs for this next position. Now that we've developed the situation a little bit, I am going to go ahead and call for fire with my observers. First target I think is going to be a point target. We know that this is an occupied area. So let's go with a point target on this building to reduce it. All right, so here we got a point target. We're shooting 2 guns out of the 81mm mortar section, so that is a full section of 81mm guns. 81mm mortar, typically not something that's going to reduce a structure, but it's certainly going to suppress the hell out of it, and since this is our first objective, I'm happy to suppress it before we commit our infantry to it. It's going to be a medium duration attack mission that's going to give me time to get my infantry back into an assault formation over here on this side, and it's general effect, so it's not against personnel, it's not against vehicles. In this case, it's general, so we're going to get point det, high explosive on the roof of this structure. It's going to come as soon as possible. We'll expect delivery here in 2 minutes. Because I'm using a fire support team member to call for fire on this mission, the delivery is going to take 2 minutes to send that transmission, do all the FTC commands, get through the entire fire control process, and then put rounds on target. And because this is a mortar system, it's not going higher than the battalion level. It's just getting adjudicated in the battalion talk at the FDC, probably potentially even talking on FM directly to that gun line. Mortars are typically much more responsive for that reason. So we'll go ahead and confirm that, and they'll go through the entire call for fire process. That fire mission request just went off. Everything else over here is looking pretty quiet. More enemy infantry spotted. And they're shooting freaking Mark 19s at us now. And we already have mortars in the air, so that's good. Yeah, enemy infantry's continued to maneuver. And now they're starting to break contact a little bit. There they are. I don't know where that round impacted, but we heard our first mortar round hit. Sounds like it's going to need an adjustment. Yeah, these enemy infantry are getting chewed up in the street. So with that in mind, there's no reason for me to now push. Yeah, the enemy's starting to break contact. They're starting to move, but, I have the superior fire position, at least for this outer belt of the defense here, along this perimeter. There's no reason for me to, commit squishy infantrymen into the open until I've set conditions for that assault. Right now, I have not set conditions. We're talking about an enemy squad plus in the area, but I definitely have a better idea of where that enemy is. So I'm going to soften them up until I've given my dismounted troops every advantage I possibly can to win the fight. You know, I don't want to commit them to the fight unless I am certain that they are going to be effective in winning it. So these guys have him hit this building. So I'm going to put as much HE into these buildings as I can right now with Mark 19s. Him, I'm not going to touch yet. Looks like he's pretty focused anyway. This guy, I'm comfortable with that. This guy's going to be my watch and shoot long, so I'm actually going to give him a target arc that's going to lock down his sector of fire to this range because he can see it the best. Okay, I'm happy with this. So look at the way that I've distributed fires here. I have one vehicle on the outside. He's isolating the long portion of the objective to make sure if like an RPG team or something like that pops up here, they're immediately getting engaged by a Mark 19. So he is providing security for the rest of this support by fire element. This guy's focused on a known enemy threat in this building. This guy's in a watch and shoot, so if something pops up, he's also free to hammer it. And I'm distributing the fire. So this guy's also hitting this building. This guy's going to hit this building. This guy has a target arc covering all of that sector. Meanwhile, these guys are still in a position where they're just waiting for conditions to be set. There's no reason for them to launch across here until we've killed every bad guy that's in the open, you know, and this mortar fire mission completes. And at that point, I'll feel comfortable starting to send those infantrymen into the fight. Okay. Let's see how we do here.
Shot out.
Waiting on the rest of those 81mm mortars to hit the ground here.
Flash, over. Flash, out.
They're still adjusting those mortars. You can see they're a lot closer now to hitting the target.
Shot, over. Shot, out.
I'm hearing some small arms as well now. Yep, from over here.
Flash, over. Flash, out.
Now those mortars are just across the street, so we'll get a fire for effect on the next turn. Infantry popping out over there, but because we have the enemy in an L, as soon as they expose, they're getting smashed. All right, so we got the fire for effect right there at the end. We still have one more turn of what I would call condition setting. As we're suppressing these enemies, they've started to break some contact and move a little bit. So you can see, you know, those enemy that exposed themselves back here, squirted out of the building. As soon as they exposed, I had these strikers in that L that were able to see him and take a keyhole shot on the 240 from the Crow system on those strikers. Over here, nothing's changed. We're going to leave everyone exactly as they were, but first let's take a look at the battle, make sure that we don't have any casualties of our own. Here we see a lot more enemy that are starting to get spotted and identified. We were taking a little bit of small arms fire. All of my squishies are in defilade, so I'm not concerned about the safety of my infantrymen. I'm more concerned about the safety of the vehicle crews, who are also infantrymen in a Stryker unit, or Cav Scouts. But what I am going to do over here is I'm going to leave that target arc as it was. I'm going to leave this target arc as it was. The rest of these guys, I'm going to cancel their targets to preserve ammo. We're going to let the mortars do some work here, and then I'm going to let the rest of these guys go into a watch and shoot. So they're only going to engage if they actually positively identify an enemy that they believe that they can destroy. Everything else I'm still comfortable with. We're going to let it ride for one more turn before starting to push into the city proper. So here is where it stands right now. Mortars are right on target. Beautiful. We do have enemy crawling in the open over here. We're seeing an enemy squad that's been KIA on that balcony. And we did manage to destroy part of that building, so that's a partial success there. Cool. Good turn. Good turn. Now I think I'm ready to start committing some infantry across here. My one concern is that they're not going to have a ton of effective support while they do it because of the position of these strikers. So we're going to do what we can to remedy that. First, let's take a look at what's been spotted. Okay. We still have an enemy squad right here, and that is in fact an AT team, so it needs to die immediately. So yeah, let's definitely target that immediately before one of our trucks gets hit. So we're going to put another turn of fire on that before we push, and that's also going to prevent me from pushing my infantry quite yet, because if there's an enemy squad or an enemy shooter, even if it's just one dude up here proned out, that can kill an entire fire team if I commit my dudes in the open across this berm. So I'm going to continue to allow my observers to work and to do their job and to continue softening up the objective. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to take this. I've already used one fire mission. I'm going to go ahead and use another fire mission as soon as this one's complete, so that as I assault across this berm, once these guys are dead, we're going to take a foothold in this row of buildings and use that to engage with small arms these buildings. But while all that's happening, I'm going to use mortars either here or here based off the enemy picture to isolate this objective so that we can deal with it without being interfered with by enemy that is elsewhere on the map. So that's kind of like where my mind is right now. Yep. And he's wounded. The other one's KIA. That 50 is going straight through that wall, so that was effective. And that should be rounds complete with my mortars at this point. There we go. We're going to do this, we're going to leapfrog in 2 turns, first taking this building and then taking this building. So I'll use, from this platoon, basically a squad and change to take this first structure. Once it's clear and secure and we have good eyes on the follow-on target, we'll launch the other squad to take this structure. While all of that's going down, my support by fire is going to have to increase their rate of fire to, not in line of sight. Okay, so that guy's not doing anything for me. They're going to have to increase their rate of fire to make sure that we get our assault in. So we're going to target some of these structures over here, and then from these positions we're going to have them suppress as well, because they're going to be the ones that are keeping our boys safe as they approach. So these trucks are going to kick up, and I'm going to take this squad and have them move fast into this building. I'll have one go level 1. Yep. So I want them to kind of like come right here and then across to here and then go level 1. And then these guys, I want them to move, but before they move, I need them to pause long enough to get that other squad in front of them. All right, this is super dangerous, but let's take a look at like the maneuver itself. First, we're bounding 2 squads. We're not moving them all at once. Real world, you'd be moving in buddy teams or even fire teams. You can do that in this game. I don't have the patience for it at the moment, so that's not going to happen, but you can. These guys are going to kick out first, followed by a bound into the adjacent building by these guys. I've got 2 strikers and a watch and shoot basically over their head. Well, I've got 1 striker and a watch and shoot basically over their head, and then I have 3 strikers all engaging different targets to set conditions to safely get them across right, in a local support by fire. And then on the other side, my true, platoon level support by fire, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 strikers that are in, firing on a TRP, on a target reference point of a known enemy location to suppress the enemy to get those squads across. And then I have 2 in a watch and shoot, isolating deep. That doesn't mean that this is necessarily safe, but that is what we've got to work with. I'm also now going to bring in an additional fire support mission. And I'd love to just continue to bring it in right here, but unfortunately, like at this point, that is going to be considered much too close from an 81mm mortar. So instead, I'm going to move it over here, I think, to objective copper, because we do have some enemy targets in this area. We'll go ahead and hit this. It'll be a 2-gun, medium, general, immediate. So same kind of parameters that we placed on the last mission that'll go on objective copper. Riskiest move by far of the fight so far that we're about to see go down, but look at the amount of firepower that's about to go out. All of that firepower specifically designed to do everything we can to get those infantrymen across the road.
Shot. Over.
We've already got our first marking rounds going out for the next fire mission. They'll adjust for the rest of this turn, very likely.
Flat over.
Round impacted way deep left. Both squads are now making entry.
Shot. Over. Shot. Out.
All right. Looks like we've got our foothold established. I'm going to ease up on my support by fire to conserve some 40 mic from my support by fire guys. These dudes didn't take a rear breach, so they're going to either have to go in through this open side or they're going to do something stupid, like run around to the front. Hopefully the latter doesn't happen, but you know, it is a game. It very much could happen. And now I'm thinking, like, what do I need to do to continue to make these dudes safe? We're seeing another technical mark down here. We haven't actually seen that thing emerge yet. Oh, there he is. But yeah, it's already knocked out, so we're good there. Now that these guys are in here, they're going to be able to set conditions to get the rest of these squads across. So I'm also going to make that move this time as well. Let me get my icons back on here. There we go. Same kind of move here. I'm going to not lean as heavily on the vehicle support by fire at this point because I'm going to have 2 infantry squads already up here with pretty good situational awareness on where the enemy might be. Real world, they would be able to communicate via radio and tell the dudes to either come on over or to chill out and not come on over. Not a ton of cover over there, so that does give me some concern, some pause. But it is about as good as we can expect given the circumstances and without the ability to like go in there and meticulously control the actions of each individual soldier, which I do not have the patience to do. So we're looking for the rest of those mortar rounds to adjust and get effective on objective copper. We're looking for these infantry squads to get in here, give us better SA. They'll be able to talk the vehicles on to targets and use the vehicles to kill. So at this point, we're using the infantry to secure terrain and identify targets. Then we're using artillery and vehicles to kill. But the plan is still generally coming together as anticipated, all elements accomplishing the tasks that we defined at the start of the mission. Let's see if these guys go in the side. Please go in the side.
Flash. Over. Flash.
Okay, they are. I do feel comfortable with the infantry where they're at, now moving some of these vehicles up and using them, you know, in an isolation capacity, essentially. So I'll bring up one here so he can start putting fire in these windows if he needs to. This guy specifically, once he is in that position, I'm going to have him target just right across the street unless he identifies other positions, and then he'll be able to engage them. So we got mortars coming in deep, support by fire still in an overwatch position. I'm actually going to have these machine gun teams load back up because we're going to have to transition this support by fire into an assault element in the near future. Put the snipers back with the commander. FO's still doing his adjustments on the fires. Now it's starting to get spicy. Let's see how we do. We got a penetration from a mortar round. Look at that. The sniper all the way deep with an SVD taking pot shots at my infantry as they try to get back aboard over here. So yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's an asymmetric fight. Just because we have the firepower doesn't mean it's any, less dangerous. It's still a deadly environment, and you can take casualties at any time from any direction. And so we just have to do everything that we can to mitigate that, because there's no reason to incur unnecessary risk and unnecessary casualties in these situations. So here, this building's on fire as well. I would suspect that I can't see any bad guys in here, but that building's ablaze, so we're not even going to be able to occupy it, I don't think. And there's a bunch of dead guys on the roof. I would expect then that there's going to be dead guys inside as well, which again, that's why we have this support by fire over here. We know those Mark 19s can go out to 3K-ish, if we need them to. They can certainly go the entire distance of this objective, so that when threats do emerge elsewhere on the objective, they are dealt with immediately, so that we can isolate the area that we're fighting in and maneuver as we please in it. So we're moving our vehicles forward now that we think it's reasonably safe from anti-armor threats, leaving the infantry in position for now, leaving our support by fire in position for now, because they've just got such a dominant piece of terrain, occupying the entire, the entire right side of the objective, the eastern side of the objective here. And we should have good effects from the rest of those mortars after this turn, so we should get the last rounds impacting, which I think has done a really good job of preventing enemy infantry over here from affecting us here. So we've got good effects on copper, good effects on steel. Silver's isolated. We've got some effects on gold. Right now, bronze is we just don't know. We don't know exactly what's going on bronze, and I think that as we start to move forward, this is probably my area of greatest concern. There's the last rounds from the mortars. This is my most dangerous turn right here, because I could get hit from any of these buildings back here that the support by fire can't really protect us from, and it's a hard turn on a Stryker. And there's our first penetration, so we did take an AT hit here. Oh no, I don't even know where it came from. Let's see if the crew can get out safely. One. Looking for a driver TC gunner to get out of that thing, but we only saw one, so it makes me think we have 2 casualties inside. And he's going for cover. Okay, it's that building. That building right there. That's a great point, too. We ate one in the armor slat. Come on, boys, wake up. There you go. The infantry's got rounds on it. So that's a great point here. We know that the enemy is going to be in the objective area, right? But they're also going to be elsewhere in the city. It's an asymmetric threat with enemies scattered everywhere in small teams, and here we have a dude with an RPG just able to knock out a Stryker in the middle of a fight. So that's just, it sucks. It's unfortunate. I was hoping for like a completely clean run in a fight like this. Clean runs, they don't really happen. But I also knew that putting vehicles into this city at any point would be extremely high risk. I did what I could to mitigate it, but it was not enough. All right, we're going to back this guy out. Hopefully he gets in a position where he can put good effects long. Really need to spend the next turn dealing with this dude. And if I don't, then we're in trouble. Once he's dead, we'll be able to continue our mission. And this is, again, remember, like, the enemy's intent here is to disrupt us for as long as possible so that they are able to cause us to culminate early so that we can't get through the objective by our hit time. Put an RPG into a Stryker in, the first major street is a great way to go about doing that. It's a great way to go about doing that. Let's see how we do here. I'm going to leave these enabled for now. Okay. We got 40 Mike out from the rifleman, and we also smoked that dude up. Lots of 203s going out. Good. Good. There's another shooter right there. There's a squad up there. So it is an enemy squad. Looks like we have one casualty in the street. We do indeed. Look at that. All it took is one enemy squad to start getting effective fire on us, and we've got dudes that are having a bad day. All right, elsewhere, we still have an enemy squad back here. They're getting chewed up by 40 Mike from the support by fire, so I'm not particularly worried about it. Right now, oddly enough, my biggest pain in the ass is this squad, and they are pinned down, but they have inflicted casualties in a significant way. They knocked out an infantryman out here in the street who's getting tended to by Doc right now. They also knocked out one of my Strykers. These guys, look at these absolute chads outside the air guard hatch on the Stryker, just letting it rip with small arms. And the 50 crows is just going off right in front of them. So we've got the firepower to do it. The support by fire is able to accomplish their mission with all the stuff that they have organically right now. So I'm going to whip one Mark 19 over there to level that building before we cross the road. We cannot cross that road until that squad is dealt with. Look at the absurd amount of fire. That Mark 19's coming, but we already smoked up that squad. Oh, penetration hit on this guy when he was trying to turn the corner. Earlier I called this area out as like the most dangerous turn that we had. I bet you it was from down here. Where was it? So that's 2 Strykers down. That's what we get for sending freaking wheeled vehicles into the city, boys. It's a lesson learned 1,000 times over. I don't want to get too bogged down here, so I am going to go ahead and launch across these buildings. These guys are ready to move, so I'm going to have them move fast into level 1 of this building, which is starting to catch fire. And I'm going to have these dudes move fast into level 1 of this building. Dangerous move there, but we've got enough firepower on the street and on the roof adjacent to them to give me confidence that they're ready to take objective copper. These dudes are going to bail out. Did we take casualties in there? No. I think the Stryker protected them. They were just a mobility kill. Yep, Bronze is giving us a hard time now. But we've seized objective steel. We'll see if these buildings give us too much of a problem. These boys are starting to get pinned down. They've taken 1 casualty on the roof. Still from that same building, too. 1 turn. We let up just a little bit, and man, they made us pay for it. Now these dudes are in a little bit of a crossfire from Bronze. That's where I needed the rest of the 81 millimeters, but we just don't have them right now. So they went into these buildings and immediately got pinned down. So that support by fire is going to have to kick up big time here. As soon as he's here, I want him to engage that. He'll be able to see them very likely and just start putting rounds right through that keyhole. All right. And then here, my guys are getting tore up, bro. They're okay for now. They're okay for now, but this building's on fire. I'm going to have him move. All right, so the best we can ask for here is those Mark 19s and 50s to just riddle this building from the support by fire to set conditions for us to get across the road. And then this guy, now that we know that this building is going to get, jacked up by my Mark 19, I'm going to go ahead and take him. And I'm going to move him to right there. But I'm going to have him take a short pause before he does it. We'll give him a 15-second pause to make sure my Mark 19 has time to work if he sees any shots as he arrives up there. Come on, where's that fire? There it is. All right, those machine guns immediately relieving pressure. Inflicting casualties on the rooftop. That building's now on fire as well. It's eating Mark 19s. These dudes are pinned still, but they're getting some help. Things have quieted down quite a bit up top. This dude's getting into position. This dude's getting in position. He should be able to help out quite a bit here as well. There we go. That's lucky. My dude back here with the Mark 19 is able to engage Bronze. And I think I just saw a whole penetration hit here. That got spicy in a hurry, my guys. Spicy in a hurry. But you're seeing the theme here, right? It's like choose the right tool for the right problem. If I have barricaded enemy infantry firing from cover, I put high explosive and big caliber bullets through that cover to engage them. If I'm in a small arms fight and I don't have fire superiority, I do whatever I can to gain fire superiority. We saw in this last turn, these guys were completely pinned down, and these guys were completely pinned down. All of a sudden I turn on 3 trucks and just start smoking up the entire objective, and their situation improves dramatically, but we still need the infantry to clear out the buildings and to hold the terrain and to identify the anti-armor threats to use the vehicles as a killing machine. But you're seeing kind of like the back and forth, the leapfrog of combined arms maneuver unfold pretty effectively, I think, in this scenario so far. But to be determined how it turns out for us. I'd say we've achieved fire superiority. Yeah, still have enemy infantry in this building over here, so we're gonna have to handle that. And in this building here. So on the far edge of objective bronze, basically. This dude's in a watch and shoot, so he's not. He's engaging this deliberately. That building's on fire now. He's also taking hits in the armor slot, so I'm gonna have to clear him out next time if he survives this turn. They're still suppressing. That's the enemy command post, so it was not in the mosque. Yeah, that's the enemy headquarters. So it was adjacent to the mosque, which was kind of like what we anticipated. Generally same position. All right, I think we're getting to that point now where it's almost time for me to start throwing this right hook. There's not going to be much else my support by fire can do for this assault team, because if you look at just the angles, we're already shooting within 5 degrees of the frontline trace of friendly forces. They're vehicle-mounted heavy machine guns and grenade launchers, so they're a fixed platform, so the risk is mitigated in that sense, but still within 5 degrees of the frontline trace of the assault force is an unacceptably close proximity to be firing to friendly troops. So the only way to increase that angle is going to be to throw a right hook over here, try to get perpendicular, open it up a little bit, and get that back up to like 30, 40, 50 degrees or better. So I think, as much as it pains me to do that, to some extent I'm going to have to do it. I have not taken a ton of fire from objective silver as of yet anyway, but if we do, we'll be online and able to rapidly start putting firepower on them. And here we're moving fast just to do what we can to avoid, I think I need to set like my right angle right here. We're moving fast just to avoid hits on the move. What I also hate about this is I still have infantry on these trucks, so they have not dismounted. And so if I start taking hits with trucks, full of a full infantry squad, that is extremely problematic. And I also can't dismount those infantrymen out here in the open, so they're just along for the ride. From this position, everyone will have a decent shot over there. And now, since these guys on the outside have further to travel, I'm going to stagger the start times here. So this guy will give me a nice little pause. 5-second pause. 10-second pause, 15-second pause. Dangerous vehicle move here, extremely high risk because I haven't dismounted the infantry. The alternative here would be to dismount my infantry behind the berm and stage them here, launch the support by fire up and hit it, but then I'd have to come back and scoop up my infantry to move them to the assault because I don't want them running across the open here. I'm choosing to keep my infantry on board, banking on my firepower to protect them, and then once this situation is dealt with, vicinity steel, copper, bronze, we can creep up and dismount our infantry to take silver and gold. So that's what we're kind of banking on here. We've also got this guy in Overwatch for the duration. And then I guess one of the other things I'm a little bit concerned about is as we move these guys out of position, I may lose awareness on the enemy headquarters, which at this point I know to be back here. And if we're over here in the low ground, it's going to be much more difficult for me to engage that headquarters, though I can still see the top of it. So, risk calculus, it is what it is. There's a lot going on in this turn. A lot. A lot. I'm not nervous, you're nervous. So kicking out right away, over here on the side. Machine gun team's moving. We backed out, vicinity steel with that one Stryker, suppressing deep down the long axis. inflicting enemy casualties over here, so that's a big win. We gained fire superiority, so this squad's actually helping us out quite a bit. There's still an enemy infantry squad first floor of that building over there. These dudes are in a little gunfight, but it's, you know, they've got it under control. They're okay. This building's on fire. They're going to need to get out. These guys are starting to get set and in position. I saw one tracer come out over here. As soon as they're set, hopefully they start shooting here. As soon as they are set, this Mark 19 is starting to push down in position. Urban fighting, boys. It is busy. It is no joke. All right, so these guys are damn near set. This guy's working through a little bit of terrain. It actually went far more smoothly than I expected. These guys I'm going to leave in a watch and shoot for right now. You need to clear that target arc. And how many... You've got a couple of jabs, my guy? A couple of javelins? I wish... Someone who knows how to play this game in the comments section, tell me how to shoot javelins, because I would love to start hitting the headquarters building with jabs, because I don't think I'm going to face any mechanized or armored threats. So I would love to know what that looks like. All right, so we're going to hold here, let that support by fire work for another turn. These guys are almost in position. I think now that my Stryker is damn near set, I can clear this target. Again, guys, it's the leapfrog thing. These guys were pinned down. They didn't have fire superiority. They were taking fire from this building. I tell them to gain fire superiority on that building. That building falls quiet. All of that allows my Stryker to pull up into position with a gun capable of reducing that building. Now we're going to hit it with a Mark 19 and deal with whatever threat might still be inside. There we go. That Mark 19 is able to see over that wall kind of as we anticipated. So now again, look at this L working. We're hitting him from the front. We're hitting him from the side. Just overwhelming firepower. There's no reason for me to go sending my infantry into this fight until I have done absolutely everything I can to make sure that they are successful and as safe as you can be in a close quarters urban gunfight. All right, fighting continues. We're still saying there's enemy infantry in here, huh, guys? The building's on fire, but you... Oh, wow, they're surrendering. Okay. So they had enough. All right, it's damn near time in that case for us to take objective copper. And we have a support by fire in position to allow us to do that. And then after I get through copper and steel, I will feel comfortable then committing the rest of my force and that other platoon to silver and gold. We're nearing that point here. We also still have that enemy headquarters to deal with. I'm going to move these guys now that they've treated their buddies as best they can. I'm going to move them on the quick under the suppression of that truck. I'm going to move this truck forward just a bit, but I'm going to put him on a pause so that he does that immediately prior to their arrival. All right, and then this dude is still maintaining long overwatch for me. And he still has plenty of Mark 19 left, so that's going to become invaluable here. All right, so this creep up is a little bit scary to me because there's threats down this axis that I may not have accounted for. These boys are collapsing. This is about to scoot forward. They've repositioned. Yep. Scooting forward now. Gonna come damn near exposing to this building. But that building is still getting hit by Mark 19, so it's okay. Then once we get these infantry up on this, in this building up here, we'll have a better idea of what's to our front. Dangerous move with this truck, for sure. These guys are taking some small arms from that building. We took a casualty from that guy on the roof. Machine guns pinned down. All right, these guys, I need you to target this to try and protect my Stryker as it rolls up. Infantry is going to support the Stryker's movement to gain fire superiority. We're going to roll the Stryker up and then put a 50 on that building from close range. Over here, we didn't see any contacts this way, so I am going to start shuffling this infantry across the street. I don't like that one bit, but thus is the way we go. Hit him. Come on. All right, they did secure the prisoners. We've got objective copper secured. Gold's up next. Then we'll set up our final security positions, launch that assault on gold. Holy smokes, man. Since we're moving up adjacent over there, I'm comfortable now starting to scoot this vehicle forward as well. Though he is hurting on ammunition. I think this first turn I'm going to keep him right there so he has room to bail out if he needs to, because we don't necessarily know what's kind of in those deeper buildings. Just because this vehicle hadn't got hit yet doesn't mean it won't get hit. All right, bronze has been secured. Taking fire from the rear. Come on, freaking truck. That's why you're there. Oh, that's an ATGM threat too. We're about to get hit. There you go. Everybody okay? Oh my God, come on boys. You gotta win this fight. There's only one of them. An ATGM 2-hour reared, bro. Holy smokes. Did you kill him at least? Yes. Okay. Thank God. Or is he just cowering? He's cowering. What is this? Is this another headquarters? Oh, that's another commander unit. All right, so these guys are going to have to immediately target this, obviously. They've got the firepower to do it. They're not in a great position on the balcony. But they're just going to have to win that gunfight. They're just going to have to do it. And then these guys, because of the threat to the vehicle, I'm going to have to spend a turn suppressing that with the Stryker. Looking good. They're getting some fire on him. That's good. This dude's shooting an M9. Are y'all out of 5.56? All right, and over here. Yeah, we're getting to the point now where our assault elements are getting hurt because they're running out of ammunition. I've got multiple dudes out here with M9s. The Strikers have ammunition on them, so we may end up having to go that route. All right, we're going to start closing the distance with these dudes. They're going to put down a lot of firepower as they assault up here to silver. Hopefully, as this dude gets in position, he'll be able to suppress on gold and help take some of the pressure off that squad that's pinned down right now. I think it's worth the risk at this point to do the same over here. This guy's got more than 1,050 cal left. So for that reason, I'm going to have him move forward just enough to help get an angle on that building. And then this dude needs to provide a little bit of security for his homie. So as much as I hate doing this, I'm just going to move him up to there. These guys moving up there, suppressing, they got to win the rest of this fight. They close distance effectively there. All quiet over here now. Looks like we won that one easy. Quiet on copper. The rest of that squad managed to retrograde. The rest of these dudes are just beating the shit out of silver and gold. In this round, he is getting rounds through from the 50 cal over there. Ooh, penetration, right hole, mass cow. That's a whole infantry squad out of the fight, boys. Oh, that hurts. Remember we talked about never letting that happen? Biggest mass cow event so far this fight. Right as we push towards the final objectives. So that is pretty disappointing, if I'm being honest. Tank platoon just arrived, so that's a big win for the home team. Where are they at? What's up, boys? We could use your help. Move fast, please. giving us credit for that objective. Since we're touching it, we're getting a foothold on it. Tanks are showing up now. Oh, yeah, you're gonna die. You don't get to do that. That's an ATGM from right there. Alright, so he's getting ready to fire. That's why we make L's. So that main gun's gonna hit that right away. And then over here, this main gun is gonna create a line of sight by reducing this building en route to that building. And when I say L's, guys, you've noticed a theme here, right? Like we had an L with an assault element here and a support element that pivoted into an L to help that assault element get across. You know, here we had that assault element became a support element, and we threw the assault element, or support element became an assault element. We threw that right hook, again, forming another L. And in this case, I get 2 tanks. I know that my remaining enemy are in this area. I commit 1 tank to the long axis. I commit another tank to a keyhole, both able to access different angles on the objective. That's what we're talking about, maneuvering to a position of relative advantage with respect to your enemy. In this case, we're making that formation, that shape of an L, which allows us then to get fires on an enemy even when he's in cover. So the question now comes down to, does this tank crew get this round off prior to this ATGM, taking out a squad of soldiers? I think we're okay. I think we worked it out. Now this tank over here, he's punching a hole through to get to gold. I'm still hearing casualties. I thought I heard another casualty. There we go. Alright, and now he's able to engage the building on objective gold, so we can finally get this thing done with. Tanks moving up, still have infantry moving around in position just a little bit. Waiting for that tank gun to go off. There we go. I need to go. That Stryker over there is still hammering that building where that squad was going to surrender. So I need to tell him to chill out. I think it's safe to say that with our infantry overwatch right here, that's able to observe most of this objective, all the damage the tanks have done, conditions are now set for us to transition over to objective gold and seize it. I am going to move this tank to right here to block for the infantry so that they've got some armor between them and any enemy that might be deeper as they move to cross into this objective area. And then I'm going to have them go into this one building that appears to still be the most sound structurally. So at this point, victory conditions have been met. We've accomplished our mission. I'm just going to see if I can take out this enemy commander back there and drop that building. And after that, we'll call it. All right, now with 2 tanks in the fight, we're gonna do a hasty patrol through what's left of the city, just mopping up any resistance. There's definitely the capability out here on the field from this asymmetric threat to demobilize a tank to potentially get a catastrophic kill, but more likely a mobility kill or a firepower kill. But we've caused so much damage that I'm making the assessment based off the number of enemy that we've seen KIA and the battle damage assessment we have, that they no longer possess the capability to disable a main battle tank. That could be a false assumption, but we've killed quite a few AT teams. We were thinking enemy platoon size element. I think we've killed 3 AT teams. There might be another one floating around. The likelihood that it's prepared to be employed seems nil. So we're going to go ahead and basically probe in a Thunder Run style fashion with our armor here. Oof, a little bit of damage to the mosque. Collateral, never deliberate, definitely didn't target it. A little resistance here. It's still in that building, it looks like. Take the shot if you see it, bro. There you go. Of course. Of course, it was the rear hole too. We took a casualty in the process. No, he's okay. He's okay. Okay. It was just an RPG. Well, I say just an RPG. RPG 7 in the rear hole on a heat round is no joke. So I'm gonna leave him here for 1 second. This dude is just moving, survivability move. It's perfectly acceptable. All right, getting the Strikers in here now that we've probed initially with the tanks. Make sure there's no other resistance that we need to clean up. Dangerous move here, to be honest, because there could just be one lone dude with an RPG ready to ruin everybody's day. Found some. Enemy squad in the open. They did a whoopsies. Holy cow. Yeah, so unconventional force is just moving around. You've got one pocket of resistance. You're very much in mop-up operations at this point. Just moving teams and elements around, mutually supporting, spreading your combat power throughout the entire area in a cautious way, so you can find stuff like this. Had a platoon almost, size element over here. And there's your headquarters, and there's your commander right there. He's about to be KIA in this next turn. Took a hit. Where's that coming from? Next door. Look at that right there. They just hide everywhere, man. This is a dangerous part of the operation, though. you're still going to take casualties all the way through security operations, you know, to consolidate your gains before you can actually establish and control the area. So he's still saying he might see something in there. I'm going to let him keep attacking it. I'm going to have this infantry squad. Never mind, we won. A draw after all of that. So we had acceptable casualties. We secured all of our objectives. We failed parameters somehow. 92 okay, 9 killed, 15 wounded, 3 armored vehicles lost. Which parameters did we fail? Friendly casualties. Okay, so the friendly casualties said we had to have below 10% casualties. We ended up with 9 killed, 15 wounded, and we lost 3 armored vehicles. I don't think those are counted in our casualties, but nonetheless counted. I still, you know, consider this a successful operation in that we secured the terrain. We accomplished all of our objectives. I do agree that the casualties were unacceptable, and this number, you know, the reason we failed on casualties was specifically that Stryker that got popped with an entire infantry squad inside of it, which is something we talked about in the very beginning. Pretty wild. But at this point, the enemy has been virtually destroyed in its entirety, and we own the entire city, or what's left of it. And sure enough, what do you know? There was a headquarters element in the mosque this whole time that we were careful to avoid. Yeah, 3rd Command headquarters. So their headquarters was very much inside the mosque. But we weren't going to go over there and level a mosque unless we took fire from it, and we didn't. We never took fire from the mosque. Well, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. It was a longer one. It was a little bit unconventional, but hopefully it was valuable to you and you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know what you thought down in the comments. If you're a combat mission guy and you know how to play this game well, and you saw stuff that I was doing from like a UI input and, you know, unit control perspective that was not in line with the game's design, please let me know, because this is one I want to get better at. It's one I enjoy doing. These videos just take quite a while to do in film, and it's quite taxing, but I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please subscribe to the channel for more just like this. I'm Controlled Pairs. This has been Combat Mission Shock Force 2, and I'll see you guys in the next one.